Is it live?
I
Yeah,
think
it's
it
live.
should be now.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes. No. Switch.
Yeah, we are live.
Okay. Hello.
Like
Hello. Hello.
we have we have to learn to
Uh,
trust when it goes live.
guy.
Like I have to always check my phone just to make sure, oh, you know what, is this live? Is this working? Plus
Uh, the best thing to do is just have it open in another tab. So.
yeah, I do, but the audio, I don't want the audio to feedback because since I'm not using like a headphone, right?
Oh. Oh yeah. True.
Okay,
And then
people.
your headphone.
Yeah. You should probably not see this. But I said okay people and my phone thought I said okay Google.
Very close now. People Google. What's the difference? Google can now be classified as people. So
Oh my
it's not
gosh.
far from the truth.
So far from the truth. What was I gonna
Okay.
I was gonna say something. Hey people, yeah, let's all go subscribe to Smartish Endeavor's YouTube channel. Um I'm gonna post that in the chat for us to see right there. And yeah, I can't like pin it or something. But anyways, as you see, we already have like the first couple
Classes.
the past streams. We have it on YouTube, and I'll make sure to export everything on YouTube because after 2 weeks, Twitch takes down the history. Twitch takes everything down. So, um, in case you miss the stream or you know your work or something like that, you can just go to YouTube and you can find the past stream. The other thing I'm gonna try to do is try to go through each and every videos and then like see how I can cut it up so that in case you need something like, oh, how does anchor link like the anchor link tag works, then there's just a video that has been cut up to explain it rather than having to search through all of the videos. So I'll do that work for everyone. Anyways, last week where did we stop? We stopped at where the trouble
We're in
started.
CSS.
You said?
So we're in CSS.
Yeah, we're in CSS. I just don't remember. I believe this was. Yeah, this was exactly where we stopped. The funny thing is, right after we got off this stream, I was like, oh, I could have explained this so much better. And I just kept thinking of, like, oh, this is so much more better. Like to explain all of this, and
Yeah.
I could have explained it a lot more easier. Anyways, what we are trying to build is this. I'm just going to put it down here so that we can copy it, carbon copy. So we're trying to like replicate this design using CSS, right? I believe we've already created the pages, so we
Yeah.
can go home and we can also click on the create node, and that should take us. We've created the individual HTML element. If you were not with us last week, you can just go back and watch that video. And when we're trying to create this header, we created this div that's going to encompass everything in this header, and then we gave it an ID of header section. If we check our CSS, we have this header section. The background color is exactly as we do have it. It has a padding of 20, padding top and bottom of 20 pixels, and left and right of 0 pixels, with color, which is text color, being white. We did that. Then we gave inside the div, the header section div, we had another oh my gosh, this puppy is going to. We had another we had another div with header container. 1 second, with a class of header container. What is it? Sorry folks, I have a German Shepherd That's a Velcro dog, which he likes to be close to someone. But
Is that what they're called? Velcro?
Velcro, like, because of how they behave.
I thought.
Yeah. Hey, stop it.
Okay.
Anyways, inside the header section we have another div, and that div has the notes app header and also the take notes and never forget header, and we called it the header container. Now if we look at the CSS for the header container, we gave it a class instead of an ID. Stop it. We gave it a class instead of an ID. And when we look at the CSS, and since it's a class, we use the dot notation instead of hash, right? And we said margin 0 auto. This was where I was like, I don't know how to explain this up. So we said margin 0 auto, and what it means is the same way we have padding, we have the two digits notation where the first one is top and bottom. We also have top and bottom, and the second digit is left and right. It's the same thing with the margin, but we are saying, oh, the top and the bottom margins should be 0, so there should be no margin at all, right? But then the left and the right, we're saying it should be auto. Now what this means is if I take out this max width, if I take it out and I refresh it, you see nothing happens. Like there's nothing happens. Honestly, I could also take out the margin and it's still going to be as it is because we've not given it any margin, we've not given it anything, right? But when we add the margin auto and the max width, stop it, Winston. Sit. Yes, settle. No. Yeah, so when we give it this margin 0 auto, we are saying top and bottom no margin, left and right auto margin. Max width should be max width. What it means is this header, the header container, it should have a maximum width of 600 pixels. So that's how long it should be. So let's actually give this div, the header container class, let's give it a background color so that we can see it within the header section. So when we give it a header, let's call it, I don't know, antique white, you're going to see, I would actually hide this also, and you can see, oh, it expands. The width of the div is the full width of the header section. So the width of the header container is the full width of the header section class. But now when we give it, I'm going to what's it called, I'm going to hide the margin 0 auto, and give it a max width of 600 pixels. When we do that and we refresh, we see that it restricts the width of the header container class to 600 pixels. 1 second. I just need to settle and take this dude out. Okay, out. Hey, sit. Stay. Okay. Yeah, so when we give it a max width of 600 pixels, we are telling the browser, if the screen, the display page of the browser is more than 600 pixels, make sure the width of that element is not going to be more than 600 pixels. But if it's not more than 600 pixels, take the full, length. So what happens, what this creates is, when I try to reduce this and I go as like small as possible, I reduce the width as small as possible for the browser, you can see the width of the container takes the full space. But once it's more than 600 pixels, the max width principle apply. Now this is where margin 0 auto comes. We say 0 for the top and bottom, auto for the left and right. This tells the browser this is the old way we used to center things. So it's like take this element and center it, and then remember the max width should be 600 pixels. So when we do it, it moves it all the way to the center, and it still maintains the max width of 600 pixels. So if I were to change this to 800, it's just going to expand. It's just going to keep this still at the center, but it's just going to expand the width, right? So we want it to be 600. And just checking here. When we do that, I can also take out the background color because I just wanted to show you what that looks like. 1 second. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Just give me 1 second.
I hope you guys are following, because he might just be explaining and some people might be confused. If you're confused, no worries. Like he said earlier, most of the previous streams, I think all the previous streams besides today's stream, is on YouTube. He posted the link in chat if I'm not mistaken. So if you need to refer to previous live streams to be able to understand like where we are right now, you can go ahead and do that, just in case anyone is not following.
There is no live stream without a fail, eh?
What happened? It was just running.
Oh, he's just being what's it called? Demanding.
Have you taken it out? Taking him out for it?
Oh yeah, I took him out before we started. Just
that's high energy though.
Oh yeah. That's why they're called Velcro dogs for a reason. He wants to be like everywhere. He wants to be like everywhere I am, like.
Yeah. So while you were explaining,
yeah.
So your own example of the page you designed, right?
Yeah.
Your note app header is above your H2, which is like take notes and never forget, right?
Yeah.
And I have exactly the same code you have, but for some reason my H2 is beside the H1.
So your H2 is beside the H1, so it's over here on the.
Yes. So the take notes and never forget is beside.
Do you? Let's look through. Let's go through the code. Let's see.
And that's for both pages, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, both pages. So what could possibly be the mistake?
Do you have the H2 within the header container class?
Yep.
And that div is within the header section.
Wait, hold on. How? So as long as that means it's within that section, correct? Or am I?
I can't hear.
What does it? Okay. Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, sure. Let me max my volume. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's within the div class. The head. Oh wait, hold on.
I think when you turn your head, that's when I don't hear you.
Oh, okay. I think I have volume limiter. Give me 1 sec. Well, I think I see what I did. Nope. Oh, okay. So when I was writing the code initially, you see, this is one thing about coding that can mess you up.
Exactly.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
When I was writing it initially, the auto complete closed my header container.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right, and then I close it again myself.
Yeah. That.
So. Okay. Okay. Something Wait, what's going on? Something else, bro. Okay, wait.
So you have your header section, and within your
Okay.
open and closing header, you should have your header container, and within the open and closing header container, you should have the H1 and H2. All
I see. So what happened was the closing div for div ID for the header section,
yeah,
right, was closed after the
H1.
I think it was after my header container. So I don't know if it was the div class that closed there. And then so there was a div right after
Oh,
the header container,
yeah,
and then another one there, rather than the way you have it set up that there's one div for the class and another closing
yeah,
for the ID.
yeah. So that's the
Okay.
thing. It's just knowing, like with divs, they are, what's it called? They are not like self-closing tags, right? It's not like the input or the, what's it called, a tag that it is. Actually, the a tag is self-closing. My bad. The inputs tag, right? So it's just looking for, oh, check if your HTML if your HTML and CSS is not cooperating, one of the first things you want to do is check to see if you are using the right ID or class for your CSS, or check to see if your HTML is properly structured. If it's not structured, for sure you're going to have issues.
Okay, so I think I fixed it now. Okay, yeah, now it's okay, fine. Yeah.
Awesome. Chat, if you have any questions, just let me know. So now, let's see. So we have the header. Okay, yeah, I wanted us to use div because I told you div signifies a division. You're just creating a section, right? But now we have something called Semantic Html, where it's semantic, right? Yeah, I think that's what. And all it just means is when browsers and like accessibility tools are trying to crawl through your website, they want to try and understand how your website is structured, right? So as a result of that, there are some HTML elements that give better meaning than just a div. So for example, this first HTML element we called header section, right? We could change it to a HTML element called header. Don't forget to update the opening tag and the closing tag. And if you do that and save and refresh, there will be no change.
Okay.
Right? But what happens is when web browsers and search engines and websites, are crawling through, search engines and tools like that are crawling through your website. Once they read this HTML tag, they'll be like, oh yeah, this is where the header section of the website is. And they can use that for things like, I don't know, I think with Google, for example, whenever you Google something, it might use things like most likely uses things in your meta tags, but it's definitely useful information to pass to those tools. We can leave this div as it is, and then this h1 as it is. Let's see, header section. I'll just change this to header for a second. I'll change the header section ID to header and come over here and update it, just so I just want to make it easy. Like, I know it's a header HTML and the ID is header, so I also updated it on in my CSS. You can do the same thing if you want, or if you just want to make sure we are in sync. Anyways, our header has a background, we've done that. Now, let's see. Another way we can define, so for padding, we had 20 pixels. We can decide not to use pixels. We can decide to use percentage. So I can say, oh, the padding, this is top and bottom, I want it to be 20%. And you're gonna be like, 20% of what? See how big it is. This is 20% of, I think it uses 20% of the, so since it's top bottom, it's going to be 20% of the full height of the page. So the browser is going to do that calculation. It's like, what's the full height of the page? Give me 20% of that and add it to the top and bottom as margins. So where this comes in handy is like, you have a width of, a full size width, and you want a container or a div to be 50% the size of the full size width or something like that. You can use percentage. There is also another thing called rem, which is REM. Now, I'm gonna lie, I still don't know when to use rem because that should be confusing sometimes. But I think one rem is 16 pixels or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, one rem is 16 pixels. So I'm just going to, so I could either do something like 1.6 rem, and when we come back to our app and refresh, now I think the height, what's it called, equivalent, since that is 0, no need put in what's it called, pixels. There is something wrong though somewhere. Comparing this to, this height feels a lot more bigger for sure. Let's see. I'll just leave it as it is. Later we can do the adjustment of, oh, you know what, maybe this is like 1.3 or something like that. Yeah, the closer I get, the more I work on it, the closer it becomes.
Why are you trying to make it exactly like the one beneath it?
Yeah, I'm trying to make it exactly like the one, like size wise.
1.08, let me see.
Oh, I think that's too much.
Guesstimate.
I think that's too much.
No, it's still not the same.
Still not the same.
Bigger.
Yeah. Oh, we can leave it. I just wanted to show you, RAM. Yeah, I don't really care about it, honestly. I'll take it back to 20 pixels and then we can walk from there. Okay. Or I'll just do, let me see. Something for sure doesn't look perfect though.
Anyways, I think maybe the font is another.
Yeah, the font is also different, and I'm trying to get. I'm looking at the code over here.
I was going to ask: is font? Is it a CSS function or is it JavaScript?
It is CSS.
So, like, you can change the font.
I can change the font. So let's do. Font style. I believe that's what. No, that's not what it is. I think font face. Change. There is, so let's say one of the places we get custom font. This is kind of going far. It's called Google Font. You could also download the font and include it in your file and then import it. Well, let's go to Google Fonts, for example, and say we want to use dongle that looks like a straight Comic Sans. I don't know if you can see this font.
Oh, okay, that's a nice font.
Yeah, dongle. I can then select the different font weight. So I'll say light 300 and select this. Now Google gives us.
So you open the dongle.
Yeah.
And then what did you click for that?
So when I click on it, and then on the right hand side, you can select a style, a specific style.
Okay, select this.
So let's say I want the say regular 400. I select this, and it's supposed to show me the. It doesn't show it to me. Oh yeah. So if you select it and it doesn't show you the sidebar, you come to the top right and you select. Now, Google, you can either download it, like you're going to download the font file on its own, or you can import it. And there are two ways to import it. You can add this link tag. Remember when we learned about link tag, we can copy it and paste it in our in our HTML file beneath the CSS, before the CSS actually. So before the CSS, where we link the CSS file, we can just paste it there. And I'm just gonna format it. Now, after we've pasted it, you can see over here, Google even gives us, okay, the CSS rule to specify for the font. It says font family dongle. I'll explain this since the name of the font is dongle. So we just come to our CSS and instead of font style, it's font family. So we do font family in quotes, dongle, comma, sans serif. Now, when we do this, I can also do comma like Roboto. Oh no, I can do comma. I'll just do some Times New Roman, comma, times, comma, serif, you know, things like that. What this means is it's telling the browser, does this user have the font's dongle? So either is it part of the application file, meaning the website, since we linked it here. If it's not, this is a fallback. If this is not present, use this. If this is not present, use this. And it keeps going till the last one. So that's how, so it's just creating backup fonts for. Now, if we save and come back to refresh, it should change our fonts to dongle.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna mess up with that. I'm just going to leave it to let the browser and the system use the default font. Actually, let me check. I can inspect this to see if it's using a specific kind of font. So I'll do family. Yeah, I don't see anything in font family.
Oh wow, okay.
Oh, it's using this. So I could change the fonts to Helvetica, and these are mostly what's it called? Installed.
Oh wow.
They're already in the system. So if I refresh it, oh yeah, it's using Helvetica area sense. So Helvetica, I think that's what it's using. And then now if actually, you know what? I will copy this font family and I want the font of everything in the page. I'll take it away. Oh, I want it to be Helvetica. So I wanted everything in the page to be that. So I can just say, oh, the body of the HTML, that's what we are targeting. And we paste it there. So we're telling CSS for the body of the HTML, let all the font family be this. I can also say font size should be 1.6. I'll do rem because I'm using what I have from my notes here. And actually, I have a font size somewhere. If I refresh this and see, yeah, it updates it and it almost looks the same. Just not bad, not bad. All caught up.
Yeah.
No questions on fonts, I believe.
Nope, not for me.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, hold on. There's a question. So say like how we have live share version of the code we are currently writing, like in VS Code, right? Say I want to see what it will look like if I were to change the font of a specific section using the DevTools in Chrome. Is that possible?
If you want to change the font, so
yeah, so like say now you have the Notes app open there and the font right now for the finished one you have. If you want to like change the font and see what it will look like.
So once you've inspect by, you click on the I'm inspecting tool and you select the element, it selects the HTML what's it called tag, and now you've selected it. Two things you can do. Do you see this section over here that says elements.style? You can click on it and say font family. Oh, font family, and I can change it whatever I change it to. Like, it's just, that's going to the browser. This is the developer tool, so think of it as we are debugging the app, and that's what we use to debug the app. And the browser is going to like, okay, yeah, this comes first. So whatever I change it to is going to, provided I have that font installed in the system or part of the app and downloaded, it's going to be there. Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is done. Hold on a second. 3.2, 1.6. Let's see. I'm gonna change the H1, the header container H1 to 51.2 pixels. And let's say this is 1.6, 25.6. So I'm gonna try that and see. 25.6. I just wanna see. Oh, that's so big. Nope. I'll go back to what we have. 35 and 16. That is so big. One second, let me try something. Oh, okay. I wanna do this, then do something like this. What's up, Bacha? Nope. 1 second, the cat wants to go out.
God damn. This nigga is living in a zoo.
Yo, it's that pet life, man.
Next thing you see now, his goat wants to go out.
Go out.
It's grass.
Anyways, let's go. Let's continue. So now we've styled the header. I think everything looks almost the same. Just this padding here, or the width, the height of the header, I don't like it. It's a lot. So I think I'll make it 20 pixels and see. Yeah, that's so much more better. Yeah, 20 pixels instead of 25 for the padding top and bottom. Okay, next thing is let's style this, right? So over here, as we can see, it is also it's all the way to the left, and in the finished product we're trying to replicate, everything is in the center, like the notes. What do you think we're going to do in that case?
Center a div. That's it. I said we're going to center a div.
Yeah, so we're going to do that.
We're going to center a div?
Yeah, we're actually going to center the div that the input and the select elements
I thought it was a joke that was supposed to be somewhat impossible.
Oh my gosh, no. We're actually going to center it based on this. So we want it to start exactly the same place where this starts, and all we can do is technically, I think if we copy this ID and header, it should work, because if we check the ID header, the background color is going to make it not work. But I'm going to use class because I like class. I prefer classes to div, and we can call this let me see.
Wait, which class are we changing?
We can call this actions. This might also not work with the way we are centering and styling. So we want to apply the same principles that we had in the header, because we had the header and then the div container containing the elements that we want to display something, and then the header centers the div container containing the elements. But in this case, we only have one div and we have the elements. So I think we can actually create another div inside it.
Okay.
And when we create it, we move the elements into what's it called? And save. Now we called the outer div, we called it actions. And then the inner div, we can call it, we can class it, we can give it a class of like actions underscore container. Right? So actions and actions underscore container. Now we can apply the same thing that we did for the header and header container, and that should take it all the way to this thing. But first of all, this is going to be the actions. So I wish I could draw on the screen, but this gray background, that's what we want, right? So we have to look at, okay, how do we style the actions first? And to do that, we're going to come over here, and since it's a class, we can do dot actions. And when we give it the class, we can say, since we want it to replicate exactly the same thing as the header, why don't we just copy everything in the header aside the color, I guess, since we don't need the color. Oh no, I copied the wrong thing. Did I? Oh no, actually that's the right thing. Right. The background color should be this gray or whatever it is. That's not white. Oh my gosh, that's not white. I use this Chrome extension. Oh yeah, so I'll post it in the chat for the color. So the background color, it's F7, F7, F7. I think also we are using the wrong color for this.
When you say background color, do you mean the background color for the note section?
Yeah, the background color for the actions class. So that's where we have the filter, the action items. So this section, this whole part here, this background we have holding it. And we can see it added, what's it called, the background and then the padding. But the padding is a bit too much. Let's do, padding is a bit too much. We did 20 pixels. It added 20 pixels top and 20 pixels bottom, but that's a bit too much. So why don't we do something like 10 or 12 pixels? I'll do 12 pixels. 12 pixels for the top and 0 for the bottom. 12 pixels for the top and bottom and 0 for the left and right. And that looks about the same. We'll come back to that if needed. Now we've added the full background, right? The one issue though is what's it called? The buttons or the items, the elements that we see over here, they are not aligned in the same direction as the header. Over here, they are aligned in the same, position as the header. So how do we do that? We replicate also the same class, the same what's it called? The same CSS we gave to the header container. We do that for the action container. So if we go to our CSS and we create a style for our action container class, action container should replicate everything that's in the header container. And how did we get it to the middle? We first gave it a margin of 0 auto, and then the next thing we did was a max width. We gave it a max width, which was the same width to restrict the length pixels of 600 pixels. So a max width of 600 pixels, and that takes it exactly the same position as it was before. I think the padding is too much, so I'll take it to like 10 pixels, and let's see. Yeah, that's about right. For something cool for the actions, when you look at the actions div versus our actions div, you can see it has some kind of border around it. Has a border at the bottom, and look at ours. Ours is just so seamless, right? So how do we create border? Now we can create a full round border, but why don't we do that just so you know how to create border in CSS? So we'll do to create border in CSS is just another property called border, and then first property you have to give to it is what's the size of the border, because you can have a really thick border or just a slim thin border. So I'll say we want something slim, really thin, so 1 pixels space. The next thing is the style of the border. So do you want it to be dash 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 dotted, or do you want it to just be a solid line border? So we'll say solid. And then the last thing is what's the color of the border. So we are going to use I don't believe this is all black, so I'll just use some gibberish number DED. Actually, I'm just FE0. I'll copy this and post it in the chat for you. Now when we refresh it, we see there is border at the bottom. But now something you might not realize is if I ask you is there border at the top, you'll be like, you don't know, you don't think so. But we can try increasing the border size to, let's say, 20 pixels just to see if it's there. And when we increase it to 20 pixels, you can see the border is all around the whole div, right? Now, how do you specify, no, I only want the border to be at either the bottom or at the top or at the left or at the right? So if you want the border to only be at the top, you can use, instead of it being border, you do border dash top. And when you do border dash top, and if I refresh, you see the border is only at the top. The same thing I can do for left, the same thing I can do for right. But in this case, we only have the border at the bottom. So I'll change it to border bottom and refresh. And actually need to reduce the size. So 1 pixels. And that's a clear separation. Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad. Now we're going to do some cool things. If you look at the style of the default filter nodes, input, and the select drop down, comparing it with this has some style to it versus what we currently have. So let's go there and see. Okay, how do I do it? How do I do it? How do I do it? Let me see. Before we proceed, any question?
One second. Because my CSS page is not recognizing the actions style. So if you go to the CSS page, yeah, that is not recognizing it.
Do you have your closing and open bracelets? Do you have your semicolons in the right place?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I like that you are making this mistake because that's the only way you learn. That's the only way
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, I missed this, I missed that. And then you begin to see the gotchas in, what's it called? Writing.
Yeah, it's just the background color, the padding, border, bottom. Like, it's able to read all that fine. But like the actions itself, like the dot actions, is not being.
So the dot actions, well, if it's reading the background color, the padding, and the border, that means it's reading the dot action. Like the browser is definitely applying these styles to the.
Yeah, but like yours now, let me see if I can. I don't know if I can share my screen to show you exactly. Can you go back to your HTML? Okay.
My HTML, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Maybe
So I have the opening and closing div for the actions, and another open and closing div for actions container.
Okay, yeah, div class. What am I missing?
Your soul.
Yo. Yeah, let me know. Listen, I'll probably just. Am I mispronouncing it?
What?
Am I dyslexic? Nope. So what am I doing wrong?
Do you have the dot before the class? Do you
should I try changing it to a div ID? Would that make any difference?
To
if I changed it to a div ID?
To an ID?
Yeah.
Instead of a class? It won't make any difference because you can share what your issue is.
Okay,
oh my gosh. Do you know what I just realized? I haven't been sharing my screen all this while.
With who?
I haven't been sharing my screen all this while.
Like on Twitch?
Yeah.
Oh my days.
Oh my days. Oh my days.
Okay, no, I think you were sharing it for a bit because I checked like a few minutes ago. Maybe just.
Oh, maybe I just mistakenly.
No, but it has been. Oh, was I tripping?
I think we were both tripping, fam.
Yikes. But yeah, okay, if I can, let me switch. Okay, I think.
Okay.
I should show it now. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see. So you didn't close your header container H2. Header container H2. You didn't have the close. That's how you learn. That's. I feel like that's the ways we learn. It's just remembering. Oh, I have to close this. I have to close that. I have to close this. I have to close that.
How are you able to spot it easily, though? You are like, oh, where's the closing tag for?
It is. What's it called? I don't know how to describe it.
Okay, I see. Okay, that makes sense then. Alright, let me switch back. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my god, I honestly think I have not been sharing my screen all this while.
Oh, you're reviewing the previous footage?
Is there a way you could go back? I don't think there's a way you could go back while live.
No, I don't don't think so.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
If you're
gosh.
on YouTube, then before, I don't think Twitch has the function.
Yeah. I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry.
Um,
But you can go through the.
Does it record the screen?
It doesn't record all the screens. It just records what I'm casting.
So what will happen is like eventually
I would have
like maybe you have it where you're recording your screen as you're talking.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So besides the live stream, you could just show.
Yeah, that I'll have to do that.
Live stream.
But I did not sign up for that work.
Yeah. Because
that's the
that's a lot of processing power for your PC too.
I know, man. Yeah. Anyways, let's just go to the next thing. So looking at this HTML, we want to style the input. First of all, any questions before we proceed to the next thing?
Not from me.
Okay. So we have only one input element and we also have only one select element. So, in this case, I don't see the need I currently right now don't see the need to give this a class or give it or a div. So I could just come here and say, okay, apply this to the global input, because that's the only input element we're going to have. And for the input, first things first is we can style the border. So I'm going to give it a border of, as usual, 1 pixel because it doesn't have a thick border. Solid, and then the color is gonna be DEDF E0. Oh my gosh, DEDF E0, and you should have it. It's the same thing as what we did for the border on the actions. So pretty much no much difference. It should blend with it. We want it to blend with the background, right? Then if you look at the border in this specific case, it's not like a straight, at the edges there is a corner, right? So how do we create that effect, right? So we do that in CSS using the property called border radius. So we tell it, hey, have a border radius of 5 pixels. Why not 5 pixels? And when we do that and we zoom closer in, we should see it as giving it that, like it's no longer a straight edge, but burnt what's it called, edge. And we want that. So if we want it to be a lot more profound, we can say 50 pixels and it's just gonna be so freaking profound, like, do you see the difference?
Yeah.
Did you say yeah or nah?
I said yeah.
Oh, okay. So we could make it 50 pixels or we could make it, but we wanted 5 pixels because that's a really slim, it's really thin for now. And the next thing is we definitely want the background to be, I'll just use white, so ash FFF. And then honestly there is no need because the background is already white, so I could just take that out. Now the font size, oh my gosh, I don't know how to type. The font size, let's say it's 16 pixels. Now refresh it. Yeah, it's a lot more bigger than what it was. You can tell by the placeholder, the filter nodes. So if we take the 16 pixels away and we refresh, it's smaller, but if we add the 16 pixels back, it's a lot more bigger, and you're almost looking the same thing. But when you look at it, you see that the input and the placeholder there, it's touching the borders and the corners of it, right? We're going to get to that in a second. Why don't we describe what the height should be? So how tall should the input thingy be? Let's see. Let's say 20 pixels for now, and let's just look at how tall it is. No much difference. So let's see. Let's do 30. Oh yeah, that increased it a little bit. I don't know if you saw it, but I'm going to comment it out and refresh. You see it's smaller, but when I add it back and refresh, it's a lot more big.
Yeah.
Right, so 30 pixels. I think that's good. Then we want it to, there should be a space, like I'm looking at the space between the input element and this. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. But let's say we want, you know, it should be a lot more space. We can just say, oh, you know what, have a margin on your right hand side. So margin dash right. We can give it something like 10 pixels. And let's see how far. Yeah, I think I prefer this actually. Should give it a lot more space and then. But now, the interesting thing, the filter nodes placeholder in the inputs, we can see it's still hogging it at the right, on the left hand side of the input field. Like there is no breathing space all around it. How do we use to give a breathing space all around an element? We use padding. So I'm going to do padding, and we don't want it to be too much. The top and bottom, the top looks good already, so I might say 5 pixels, just add a little bit more. And then, oh no comma. I don't know why I'm adding comma to this. And then for the left and right, looking at the left, we know we definitely need more what's it called, more spacing. So let's do something like 7 pixels. So it's gonna give it a padding on the left and right. Now, without saving it, I want to also show you this. When you type, you can see that there is no space between the edge on the right hand side. That's why we are not just saying only the padding on the left, we're also giving it on the right. And now I'm going to save this and refresh. And now when I type, you see there is a space on the left before your first input, and when we get to the right there, it ensures that there is a space on the right. So I actually like this now as it is, and it's looking a lot more, what's it called, better for me, honestly. Maybe the font size, I'll make it 12 pixels. No, I'll make it 16. That's too small. Oh my gosh. And that's all. We've styled our, you know, so you could also do a lot more things in, you know, you can style this input however you like it. Let's say we wanted the background, oh my gosh, the background color to be, I don't know. I've never seen an input with a background color of this. But see, the background is this. And I believe you can also style the color of the text in it. Let's say we want it to be something else. I think this works. If I refresh and I type, you see the color of the text is that. I'm just going to use red so that it's a lot more profound, and then we can see it. So go as crazy as you want. Create dark mode version of this website. You can create a dark mode version of this website. So I'm going to delete the color and the background color. Anyways, yeah, we're back to our default this thing. Now the next thing I want to do is let's style the select input. This one is a lot.
Before we go ahead.
Yeah, before we go ahead, sorry.
Can you scroll up on your CSS? I'm trying to see your H1. Okay, yeah, that's right. Lost it. Yeah, cause I still had the whole the margin bottom of 6 pixel.
I have that. Is it for the H1?
Yeah, for the H1. Then why is my the margin like all the way? It's.
Do you have margin 0 auto for the header container and margin 0 auto for the actions container?
Oh yeah, I have it for it. I have actions container. Yeah.
So for the input, your margin right, that's the space in between the input and the select field? Is it 10
Yeah.
pixels?
Okay. Wait. Let me share my screen. I don't know if you'll be able to share. 1 second. Okay. So this is what mine looks like.
Whoa. Whoa. Let's go to your
So,
HTML.
wait. So there's. Can you see the notes at the bottom there?
I can't
What
see.
this is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
Oh,
because I made it. I
what's
tried to make
your
it in dark mode.
what's your padding?
Give me 1 sec. Let me open.
For your input, your padding for your input.
Where's VS Code? I'm 5 and 7.
So 5 pixels space 7 pixels.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So I think the issue is from somewhere previously because it didn't change. So you have your actions, background padding, 0. Yep. Header container. Yep. Header container H1.
make sure you have your closing your opening and closing braces for everything.
Yeah. I can share it and show you. Maybe it's the HTML issue.
Yeah, it could also be the HTML. I was going to say check the HTML. You want to make
it started. Yeah. So
you don't have your closing bracket for the input. Oh, you do.
There it is. Yeah.
But what's the second one down? What's the second?
I have no idea what that is.
So you can take it out.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, they changed it. Still didn't change. So I just removed the margin bottom from here.
No, we still need the margin bottom for. That's for the H1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was 6, right?
Yeah, 6 pixels.
Okay. Yeah, I still didn't change it.
Because what is big is the actions. So let's go to your HTML.
So I think whatever
for your actions container, you have a padding instead of. So you are saying it should have a padding of 600 pixels instead of a max width of 600 pixels.
Okay.
So a padding like top, it's going to add padding everywhere. Top, bottom, left, right.
So let's see. Yep. I fixed it.
Fixed it?
Yep. Where's my OBS? Okay. Yeah, I fixed it.
Perfect. Perfecto. Now, the next thing we want to style is the select inputs, right? So since we don't have another select input, and I could just target the select and the options elements straightly. But just give me a moment. I think just to verify I'm doing the right thing. Yeah. So we could write our select, because that's what it is, the same way we did the inputs, and I think it's select. So it's going to target every select element in the browser, in the HTML document. And first thing is, we don't want, I think for that, looking at this one, comparing it to this one, there is no border radius. There is a border radius for the inputs, but there is no border radius for the select. So I'm going to do border radius none. Honestly, I don't need to even add that. That's just the default case. The other thing is, there is a border though. Like when you look at the when you look at it, there is a border. There is definitely a border around it, and the color is different from what we have here, right? So we can say the border, and the border is also all round. So say the border is 1 pixels, solid border, and hashtag the same DEDFEO. Now, something I forgot to actually show you. Oh yeah, that's perfect. When we refresh and save, that's perfect. Something I forgot to show you is the concept of, like, we did the how 1 pixel's border, changing the size, how it affects the size. But the style, the line style, let's do it for the inputs. We'll increase the border to something like 5 pixels. And instead of it being solid, I can do dashed, DASHED. And then I can also change the color to something like red, just for you to see how, styling the borders. And when we do dash, you see it has a dash border around it, color is red. But that's just to show you that. And save it and go back, and then we're back to where we are. I undo, save it, and go back. Yeah. Let's see, what's the next thing we need to get done? The next thing we need to get done is the background, I believe, is white, so we don't. I'm just making sure. Yeah, the background is white, so we don't need one. And font size, for sure, this size of the font we need to change. I'm going to match the size of the font with this input size, since they are side by side. I don't want one to look bigger than the other. So that's 16 pixels, and that's perfect. So right in here, the size of these fonts are, they're both the same thing. The next thing is we want the height. I would say we should match the height with that of the input, so that they are of the same height. And when I do that, that works fine. And I think the other thing is we want, let's see if we add the padding, if that makes it a lot more bigger, since that one has, yeah, that made it definitely a lot more cleaner. Oh, I have this all zoomed in, so that's why. Yeah, I did not add any styling to this, so that's so much more better. We can increase the height if, let's say, 40 pixels. If it's, yeah, maybe 40 pixels, but it's the same height. Yeah, that looks a lot more, we're not going exactly style by style here, because as we see, our input is a lot more bigger, but we're just trying to, match things up. Any questions with that?
Okay, there's something else I'm obviously missing, because your header is matching its is it margins, the way it's like, yeah, with the,
Yeah.
mine is not.
So for your actions container, do you have the margin 0 auto and the max width of 600 pixels? Because remember the explanation I gave to you?
Yeah.
Where the container,
Header container margin 0 max width,
auto,
yeah,
max width 600 pixels.
for both the actions container and the header container, right?
For both the actions container and the header container, yeah.
Yep.
Do you have any width, or do you have any width property in your actions or in your header? So in your actions class or in your header ID?
No, wait, let me see, where's your header? I don't have any within the header. Wait, hold on. I do have, well, let me see your header. It has padding, background color, display. I have it display flex.
Oh no, take that. I was going to show you a different way of styling.
Okay. Yep, that was it.
That was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did the display flex do?
That is, so the way CSS is, CSS can't be, browsers have to support the old way and the newer ways, right? So like you see the way we had to center, we had to use margin 0 or auto, right? That was like one of the old ways of centering. Now people did not like that because there's a lot of things that could not be done, you know, and there's a lot of things like it should be really easy to center things and stuff like that. So part of we call them the, what's it called, web, just call them the W3C, which is like www community. They created another CSS spec feature and saying, oh, we should have a new feature called display, and display is going to have different types or different, you know, values. So display flex, or you can have display grid and some other things. And then with that, you can use certain CSS properties. So when I'm just going to do it, yeah, but don't add this. So I can say display either block, flex box, all of this, inline block, whatever. So if I were to decide to use flex, I can use properties like justify content, align to the center, left, right, and the browser is just going to, okay, you know what, this HTML element is a flex element. When the user says, so when you say display flex, it's going to take, we're going ahead of ourselves, but I might as well just explain it. When we say display flex, remember when we write our HTML, everything was just going beneath each other. But the moment we say display flex, it brings the elements above, like it brings them, they should be in line. They should not be beneath each other, right?
Okay.
Now, after you've done that, you now say, okay, justify content. It should be in the center, or it should be at the beginning, or it should be this, or there should be space between all of these elements in the flex, you know, container. So you can tell it things like that. And then there's display grid, where it's like, okay, take this whole container and divide it into a grid of 6 columns and 6 rows and things like that. And you can put this first element in this row. So it's just a quote unquote newer feature in styling for CSS. We'll get, no worries, we'll get there for sure. We'll get there for sure. So we've done select. The next thing we need to do is just this. And this is the part that the thugs give. Oh my gosh. I don't know why that fuck got me.
Like, where the hell did I?
Where did the hell did it's what's it called? J. Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking of it. I was like, oh my gosh. So something I did here, which I did it just because we're writing the basic HTML. But when you come to now styling, you're going to see, oh, you know, this might not fit in this style. I need to put it in this div, which is the next thing we have is the no notes to show and the create button. But when we look at the final design, we see that they are all in the same alignment, right? So that means we should have a div containing all of this together, like we have for the actions and the header. So we should have a div containing this div that's containing no notes to show, and have also what's it called, another div containing the, what's it called, link. But now like there is no point actually when we think of it, or how I think of it is, since things are not aligned left and right, like let's look at this other element, right? The H1 and the H2 were all in one div, right? But we did not put the H1 in a single div like we did here, and we did not put the H2 in a single div like we did for the anchor. So I could literally just remove this 2, right?
Okay.
So and just have the anchor tag. Oh, yeah, I could do this. And when I do it, and save and refresh. Oh, anchor element is a block. Okay. Hold on, I want to try something for my own knowledge. Sorry, it's not gonna work. I was thinking the A element is a block element, but actually we have a paragraph, which is a block element. And like I said, a block element would tell the next element, hey, don't occupy my space. I own this whole row. So as a result of that, the link went to the next line.
Yes. Yeah.
But if I were to put another link here, or even a paragraph, no, a paragraph will go to the next line.
Go to the next line.
Yeah, it wants its whole row. So since we have this, we can then tell, now all we just need to do is style this div to start here, like the way this did and the way this did.
Okay. Oh wait, okay, let me see. Let me see if I can figure out what we did. Is it going to be like the same procedure as the previous ones?
It's going to be the same procedure, but
okay.
But you're going to, there is a difference between both of them, and it's like it's like there, but if you're not careful, you think, oh, you know. So how do we get this here?
So if I'm understanding clearly, we would have to put both the link and notes to show in a div class and have a name for it.
So what do we call this? Let's call it something.
That's what I'm trying to come up with. Note section.
Perfect. Notes section. Remember, we can't use space, so we use like the hyphen. Underscore. I'll use I prefer underscore. So now, note section, and let's go to our class.
Oh, okay. Wait, before we go ahead, is it best practice to have both the paragraph and href in the same div class, or would they have?
It depends. It depends on how you want to style it. So that if you look at the H1 and the H2, we did not have it in the same. We did not have each and every one of them in an individual div.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So it depends on how you want to component. Hey, component. Component.
Hey.
You get what I want to say. I want to say it's not a correct English, I think, but componentalize.
With compartmentalize?
Not compartment. Well,
component.
Yeah, like I think of it as when I look at this UI, right?
Okay.
I say, okay, this is a component that have a notes app and a take notes app and a never forget. This is also another component and it has this and this. Then there is this section, this whole section here that has the list of the nodes, right? And also has the list of the nodes, and it also has the create notes button, or it has just no notes to show, right? So I try to break it down. You can break everything into like, okay, how do you structure it using a div? That's how I think of it, and then your CSS will follow, with it. So
okay.
In the case where we have no notes to show, how do we style this div holding the no notes to show and the href button?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the whole notes note section and then
Note, yeah.
Wait, is it note section? Okay, note section. Yeah. and then you can just go ahead and style it.
What do you use to style it?
What do I use to style it?
Yeah, what do we use to bring it to exactly the same?
Oh, that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let me just look through my code here. Wait, hold on. So what would make this two? So we have the header. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'll figure it. I'll say it's the no, it can't be the. I'll say it's the margin. Wait, let me try. Wait. So you see, this one thing about science. It's all about it. You understand? So okay, so it's the margin and the max width.
Exactly. So we have to give it the margin 0 auto. And then the max width. Remember, the max width is, we're just telling it, oh, the maximum size of. When it's move everything to the center, this should be the maximum size of that thing. So for in that case, I'm just going to look for, let me see. Can someone? Hey, Chrome, you have a bug. Chrome Dev Tools. Because you can change this to, what's it called? Pixels. Like you can tell it, show me the value in pixels. So it's saying it's, oh, it's not 60 pixels. I'll just do 60.
Well, isn't that the whole point of it?
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
960. I'll make it 600 pixels. So if I make it 600 pixels and go back to our app, then we should see it there. Now, the button, the link, we need to style that.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask next.
Right. So we need to style that. But before we style that, I'm going to delete all these notes here. So you see, this is also another thing. Sure. The notes is like right dead in the middle of the whole.
Yeah.
How do we start? So we have, I think one way to see things is when we do a background color of this and we refresh, we can see this is the 600 pixels max width. It starts from here and it ends there, right? Now we want the nodes to come down here in the middle, right? And then the create button to go down but still be in this position. How do we do that?
Okay, just give me a second. I'm going to figure this out. Off the top of my head, right? What I'm assuming you would have to do is you'd have to put both like the paragraph, and you have to go back to the HTML. You have to put the paragraph in a different div than the create notes button, right? And then you can style them separately, if that makes any sense. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
like you have the div class note section, you make the section specifically for the no notes
to show. Yeah.
Right, and then you have a different div class for create notes, right? And that way you can style the create note button in a different way.
Why not just add the style to it directly?
Like add the style like
to the paragraph directly.
As in the HTML.
So like instead of putting the p tag in a div, why not just come here and you do a class and then you just apply the style to it? So I can call this the no notes. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
No notes.
That was an option.
That is an option.
Okay, 1 second. I don't think I've seen it. I don't think we've dealt with a P class
Yeah, I don't think we've done.
yet. Yeah,
But
nah.
any
'Cause
HTML
that's
elements
new.
you can. I think what's it called? It gives you an idea as to why we use the div tags.
Okay.
Like the div tags, it groups different components, and then you are applying to a style to a whole group of component versus this one is going to be tweaky. So to do this, for the no nodes, let's do what's it called, text align center, and we should give it a, honestly, since I'm not teaching you new stuff, I would just say a margin. We should give it a margin. Top and bottom, we should give it a margin of 20, 30 pixels. And let's do left and right 0, 0 and just see. I want to see something. Oh, that's not. Yay. Also, I want to change. I would love to change the style, honestly. I would love to change the style. So, the color, make it 1, 2, 3. So #333 for the color. Oh, I forgot to put my closing semicolon here. And then for the font size, let's play around with it, or just inspect and see what it is. And again, filter font 1.6. So I'll say font size 12 pixels. Hey, that's too small. Let's do 16 pixels. I'm going to take out this background color in the notes section. Yeah, that's almost identical, if not identical. Now, I want to do this just so I can explain something. I'll give the no notes paragraph a background color, right? Do you see that it takes the full length of the full width of the notes section?
No.
Right? That's why we are able to do text align center. I can also do text align end. And if I do text align end, it's going to take it to the end of the whole paragraph width. If I do text align, what's it called? You start, end, left, right, center, start. I could do start, but I can also do left. And start and left, they are, I think they are not the same thing. Start uses, what's it called? Because Arabic is from right to left, right? So when in Arabic, if it's someone who's viewing in Arabic and you want, you're building a multilingual site and you want something to be at the start of how they'll read it in Arabic, so you use start. While left is legit left. But in this case, we want text align to be center. Now, since text align is center, we gave it a margin on the top and the bottom. So for the background color, for the no notes, this thing, the margin is this space here. So the space here and here, top and bottom, we say 30 pixels, and left and right, we don't want any margin. If we were to give it a margin of 5 pixels, it's going to offset it. So it's going to give it a margin here, reducing the width. As you can see, the width of the whole P block is smaller, but we want it to be 0. So in that case, we're gonna make it 0. And I can take out this background color. Font size, we gave it a font size. Color is just to change the color of the font, and that looks almost identical. Does that what's it called? Any questions on that?
Nope.
The last
Okay,
thing
wait, hold on.
yeah.
So now, now I see a potential issue,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So if we don't, okay, let me just try it, right? Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Cause like the notes section,
Yeah.
if we don't change this background color of, wait, let me just give me 1 sec. If you don't change, if you don't change the background color of, okay,
You get it.
yeah, never mind.
What was your question, just in case any
So
viewer?
I was going to say, if you don't change the background color of the no notes to show, when you change the background color in order to affect the create notes section, wouldn't that also affect the no notes to show? But I'm assuming there's going to be a HTML code that you have to edit, maybe probably some A-class href or something that would only affect the create notes button.
Exactly. So that's the same when you look at the HTML for the anchor tag. We can also give it a class of its own and call this create
Wait, hold on. Wait. You just breeze through that. Like, the class for this one goes behind.
So it goes
href.
after the href, after the quote to where it's linking to. You can just give a space and class. That's how every HTML element can have a class. Just let's put it that way. Can either have a class or an ID. It's going to make some people will disagree with that, but just agree on that.
Why does it go behind the...
You can also put it before it. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You can also put it before it. The positioning doesn't matter. At the end of the day, right? They are doing different things. They control different, like completely different things. This class is more of, oh, you know what? Your CSS is going to target this, right?
Yeah.
And then the href is saying, okay, this link element is connected to this page here or this route here or whatever here.
Okay.
So now if we want to create the CSS for the create nodes, we come over here and then the usual dot create nodes.
Yeah.
Yes, honestly there are various ways to do this. Oh my gosh. Some people will use a div for this. Some people could use a button element, like a lot of things. But I use create node so that when we click on it, we can actually go to the edit page, and then we can style that on Thursday, because it's almost 8. We can style that on Thursday. Like we can have the full functionality of going to front and back, going to the different pages. But for now, let's style it. So the create node styling, when we look at it, it's still at the same position, but the difference is the size is smaller, the font size is smaller for sure. The color is different. It has a background color. When we point at it, if you look here, when we point at it, it changes from a mouse pointer to a cursor. And you can, if you want, I can change it to even like a loading, like you can change that style. Now, how do we do it? First thing is we want to get out the underline and all of those, like the default styling of a link. So to do that, we do text decoration, and I believe we say none. When we say text decoration none, it's going to take out the default style and the underline. We can also change, let's give it a background color, right? We'll say the background color is what we have here. And let me get it for you real quick. I believe it's the same thing as what we have in our header. I just want to confirm it. Oh yeah. So the background is the same thing as we have in our header. So actually, let's just do background, and I want to see something. So hash 437. Let me just see to confirm. Yeah, that's the same thing. So we say background of that. The font color, so the font color or the text color, we just do color. We want that to be white, which is hash FFF. It doesn't have any border, so we're good on that. Just making sure. The size, let's take down the size, so we can do font size to, let's say 12 pixels. Oh, that's so small. Actually 16. Yeah, that's about the same size. The font, ignore how big the button is. We're going to change that out. And to do it, I will do, in order to, I think this is where you're going to understand padding fully. It's when we do padding, we can say let the padding be 12 pixels. Now we are not saying, we're just doing the one hand, the one hand shorthand form of padding, where we're just giving it one digit. So that's going to give it padding on all sides, so the top, bottom, left, and right. And when we refresh it, you see it adds the padding, you know, to everywhere. The button is a little bit bigger, so maybe I'll do 10 pixels. Yeah, I mean, everything is not to scale in this, so we don't have to make this up to scale. And oh, actually we don't need to do it, but already the browser automatically changes when we hover on this. When we call it hover, which is when you go on the link, it makes it the hand already, but we could change that. Let me see, I just want to check something. Yeah, okay, we're going into some intricate designs here now. When we come to the button, do you see it changes color?
Yeah.
Right? So how we do
change button color.
But
cause I can't lie, yeah, the people that invented coding just decided to be on the nose with some of the words. Like, what's text decoration? Like,
text decoration is, you can change it to either the text should be all of this. Like if I want it line through, it's going to like put a line across.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Because like you would think it would be something more technical.
Yeah,
right?
that's
just text decoration. Like, how do you decorate a text?
Two things that have been said is really hard in computer science is naming things, one, and caching. Caching is a whole different, like, you will learn that. No worries, you will learn that soon. But anyways, let's add the effect that when we come here, right, it gives it it changes the color. So how we do it is create notes, and this is something new we're going to be learning today, which is where is the CSS? Oh my gosh, I've forgotten what it is called. No, but anyways, it's another CSS. Would I call it selector? No, it's not selector. Selector is like the name of the CSS classes and everything, but it's a state kind of, selector. So we are saying the state of when this button is hovered. So since that state is hover, you do a colon and you type HOVER. Now, any style you add in this specific CSS, this section, it's always going to affect whenever the user hovers on the button. So the background, we did change the background from when we hover, we are changing it to #396684.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
So we could also make it red. I don't know. Actually, no, we'll leave it the color it is. And then on hover, we change the color to red. We also make the font size to, I don't know, 20 pixels. I'm just giving gibberish number now. We could also say the padding is also, the padding increased by 2 also, or by 4, so 40 pixels. And when we save and refresh, when the user hovers, see how the button just changes. So on that, when the browser detects that hover state, it applies the CSS to it. But we don't want all of this. One thing I want to show you also is looking at the transition of how it changes the color over here versus the transition of how it changes. Oh my gosh, I should refresh this. The transition of how it changes the color. You see, this is like, it's not easing in. It's just chum 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 chum. Versus this, it's like fading in.
Okay.
This
Was
is where
that transition slow?
So it's not transition slow. We come back to the main CSS and we say transition, right? And transition is like, okay, what CSS property do you want to transition, right? We are gonna say it's the background. So that's why I use background here and not background color, because I believe transition can't, it doesn't work with background. It doesn't work with background color, but it works with background. I might be wrong on that. Now, let's say we wanted to transition really, the next digit is, we want it to transition really slow. So I can do 0.000003 seconds. And then the last, what's it called, property we give is the type. So do we say ease in and out or ease out? I'm just gonna use ease alone. When I save it and I refresh and I move to it, oh, actually it's gonna transition real fast. But if I change this to like 1, I think it transitions slow. Yeah, transitions real slow. So the lower the number, the faster it transitions. The higher the number, the slower it transitions. But in this case, I just want it to be like 0.3. So I'll just take all of this and just do 0.3. The browser understands. So. Got it?
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. So 0.3 seconds seems like a long time. 0.1. Yeah, that's too fast, goddamn.
Any question?
Nope. Wait, so you just wrote ease, but when I was trying to put like it says it gave me suggestions of ease in and out. What's the difference?
I think ease in and out is, it's going to do the transition of the background and it's going to go back. So it doesn't do it, but for some certain transitions that you make, it's going to do it, and it's going to, actually when we ease, so yeah, this makes sense. When we go to it and we are leaving, see how it transitions out. So it's for the in and the out state. Versus this, the moment I leave, it just changes. While
Okay.
this, I go, and as I'm leaving, it also transitions out.
Okay.
So you are like specifying what state you want it to transition. And I think, yeah, I think that's the same thing as ease actually. Let me see. Yeah, that's what it means.
Okay.
And honestly, all of these things, if you want to learn more about it, you can just come to W3 schools and just, or what's it called, MDN, and just you can just Google CSS transition, and then read up on it, and then it's like, oh, you can. So there is like the shorthand format of just doing transition, or you can specify the individual properties of like, oh, transition this. So over here you see the transition width for 2 seconds and the height for 4 seconds. And if we try this, look, on the hover, it just transition it, because we said transition the width for 2 seconds and the height for 2 seconds.
I always thought that would be something like a JavaScript.
Yeah, but
deal.
yes, but
like when you go to a page, right?
Yeah.
Oh wow! You see, this is the good thing about learning CSS and like learning web dev, because when you start going to websites, like when you start learning CSS, when you go to a website and something changes, it's like, oh wow, I see how that works. So if you try and click on it, try it yourself.
Yeah.
Don't click on it. If you see, no, don't click on it. Go back.
Oh, when like you go to it.
I don't know if it does it on your end, but mine, like it changes it.
Yeah, it does. It changes the color.
Wait. No, it don't. No. Okay, go to. Let me send you a page.
But if you look at what's it called, the menu over here, when we go to the SQL, it changes, and that's all hover state. It's called hover. I was going to show you something. Don't remember what it was.
That's so cool.
I was gonna show you something. I just don't remember what it was. But boom, we've pretty much created a carbon copy of this. The only difference is the width, the height of this is a lot more, this is a lot more. And those are all figures you can play around with. 40 pixels, 20 pixels, 10 pixels, and all of that stuff. Trying to.
Okay, yeah. So earlier on, we linked the href for
the edit page.
Not the dongle.
Oh, font style. Yeah.
Font style. So if you were to do it, do you have to add it to every page you plan on using that font style? If that makes any sense. So like I have it on my edit page, the HTML on my edit page.
Yeah.
But I don't have it on my index.
Exactly. You have to add it on your. You have to add it on what's it called, every HTML page, because the browser downloads the HTML and it looks through the HTML and says, okay, I need this asset, I need the fonts, I need the CSS, and it downloads it. But now there is a way to add the font in the CSS. I think this works. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if this works. This syntax, I'm not 100% sure, but it might work. Where first things first, right? This is what the browser does. Because different websites uses different fonts, but similar fonts, in the sense that there are 10,000 websites in the world. 100,000 of them will use 1,000 of them will use this specific font. 1,000 of them will use this specific font. 1,000 of them will use another specific font. So when you go to one website and the browser has never downloaded that font, it downloads it and it caches it. So caching, in the sense, it saves it temporarily. It saves it so that when you go to the website again, it doesn't have to re-download it, right? And now you can go to a different website that uses that same font. The browser looks and it's like, oh, I already have this font saved. No need re-downloading it. It's a completely different website. So even though you did not add it, in the edits.html, there is a probability the browser might have cached it. And then when you use the fonts family, it's going to say, oh, you know what? I have this cached already. Some people call it cache, Nigerians maybe, but it's cache, CACHE. Or I used to call it cache when I was learning, me and my colleagues. But so when the browser have saved it already, even though you did not add it, you might be lucky, and it's like, oh, okay. The other thing is, I think I can do something like this at the beginning of the CSS at import URL. I don't know if you see this other format. It's like at import, and you're specifying the URL where it should download it from, right? And Google Fonts even suggests it. If you look, one of the ways is either using the link, which is what we copied, or the import style. But the import style, you see, it did it inside the style. I don't know if you can see it. It's inside the style element. So if it's inside the style element, technically you could copy it and put it in your CSS file, and then you only have it in one place and you can reuse it in different HTML file. Actually, just to make sure this works, I will try a different for fonts completely. Let me try a different font just to ensure it works. I'll use, this font, it looks so beautiful. And you can like add, so you can add multiple fonts with Google Fonts, for example. I did not plan for this to be a Google Fonts tutorial, but you can add multiple fonts. So if this one, I like it, it's a nice font, I select the font and it adds it to like the quote unquote cat, and I can go back and let's look for Rubik Brown. I don't know what that is. Add it. It's a beautiful font, and then we could add. Let's see, Comforter. I feel like I've used this font for something before, design or so. Now, when we go to the fonts, we see everything here, and the browser, Google Fonts, it gives us the link to each and every one of those fonts, or we could just do the imports. And if I do the import style and I copy it, and I put it in my CSS, I'm going to delete this at the top of my CSS file. Now let's read through this. It's saying, okay, CSS, I want you to import something from this URL. What is it? It's a font. And it has, over here, it says go to Google fonts.googleapi.com. And then it has the family, which is what's the type of the fonts? Comforter, and a family called Neodanthor, how it's pronounced, and the last one. So it just appends it in the URL. That's how Google has built their server to be able to do that. Now I can come over here in the fonts family and say, you know what? I want the first font to be Comforter, and the next one to be Neodanthor, and the last one to be, what is it called? Ruby. If there is a space, you have to put it in quotes, I believe. So actually, the fallback would be sans serif for everything, because I know I have sans serif installed in my system, or every system has sans serif. So if I refresh it,
before the very beginning of any of the CSS code.
Yeah, before the very beginning.
Okay.
So when I refreshed it, I saw the fonts is being applied to everything except the inputs, and that's because we probably did a font. Oh, that's interesting. I think for the wow, That's interesting. Family. Oh yeah, for the inputs. Wow, I just learned something new today. Fonts do not get applied to input and select elements. But as you can see,
yeah, because I've been struggling to do that here, but I just thought I was messing something up.
yeah, I think maybe if I copy, because we were applying the fonts to the whole body of the HTML, and we go to let's see, the inputs container, and we do this. Should it apply? Oh yeah, we have to specify it for those specific elements, for the input and the select. Yeah, I had to specify it for the input and the select. That's the only way that will work. But if so now we downloaded, remember we added 3 different fonts to our cart, and all we just had to do was import that one URL in the browser, or we could use the link format and put the link in a specific HTML file if you want it to be applied to just one specific HTML. And I could take out the comforter, and then we can try Neonda or whatever it's called. Actually, I will show you how the browser downloads it. So when I open the Chrome DevTools and I go to the network tab, so I've saved it and I refresh the page, the browser makes a request. Thanks for the follow, SimiFX. So when I do a refresh, I see the index.html, the browser fetches it. But let's look at, I don't know if you can see this over here.
Wait, let me see if I can just open it on my end. That's right. So we're going to network, refresh the page. Jesus. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the name of the file?
So if you open your Chrome DevTools and you go to the network tab.
Yeah, I've already done that. Like, what's the name of what I'm supposed to be looking at?
So if you look at CSS, that's
family.
Yeah. So if you click on it and you go to the headers, you see it's making a request to that exact same URL. But because we've downloaded it before, do you see how it says status code 200 from this cache?
Yeah.
Exactly. So it has already downloaded it before and it saved it to the system. So no matter how many times you refresh this is not actually going to call Google at all. Except if Google has an expiry date. Yeah. Google has an expiry date saying, on 26th of January 2022, expire at 12 midnight, pretty much. 12:45 midnight. So it's saying GMT, which is, I don't know what the equivalent is in where we are right now. So that's what Google is doing. This Google server is saying, you know what? Save this in the cache, but expire that cache at this specific time, because maybe at that time Google might have refreshed the font. So there are a lot of things that go into the connection between a website and a web server and all of that things, but little by little I believe this is giving you a lot more insight.
Yeah.
And
like we went from beginner to like
intermediate.
These not intermediary. These like
this is
experts. Difficult, but we move still.
We move.
Yeah.
Little by little. And you can also
I mean, like what you just opened up, like opening network and then showing status.
Yeah.
200 and expiry date of a font. Like that's like you have to have been using this for like
if you see, we have the index.html and the index.css. Those are the files we created. So now if you click on it, you can see request URL. It's a file in my C drive that's on my desktop. Like that's where it's getting it from, because it's not saving it from a server, right? And that's the same thing with the CSS. And as you can see, it's not showing anything like it's cached because there's actually changes. There's changes, and we are not telling the browser, hey, cache this, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's always updating. And oh yeah, this is just more fonts. Something else is if we go to the Create Notes button and we click on the Network tab, it should update and it's tell us, oh, it's downloading these things, it's downloading these things. This is what it's downloading from. And when we go to so in this specific case, when you look at my edits.html, I did not add the link for the font, but it's applied here because I added it to the CSS file, and the CSS file is linked to the HTML file.
Oh, okay.
Right? So at the end of the day, we honestly don't need all of this link tag because I just showed you another way of adding fonts. We do need the link for the CSS file though, because that's the only way the CSS is gonna get applied to the HTML.
Or like the style sheets.
Yeah, the style sheet. Yeah, we do need that. And also, I honestly don't need all of these fonts because it's outrageous. Yeah, I think I prefer this. And then refresh it and we have our normal style back. But hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Any more questions?
No. I'm just looking at what we're learning so far, because I won't say end goal, but like one of the final things I want to do, like once I'm done learning, like my final test for myself will be to like create like a simulated web page, like I said at the beginning, like a shopping page.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So when you click on, I'll make your own need to create. In mine will be like an add to cart. But so I'm like seeing, as we're working on it, I'm seeing like different things I could use to make like an enticing product page.
Yeah.
But like there are some things I'm wondering if there are easier ways to do it. So like this transition property, right?
Yeah.
Would serve a function where if you hover over like a picture, right, of like a product you're trying to buy, it expands it.
Exactly. Right? That's exactly what this is, pretty much.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's a JavaScript that does it, because like that expansion is a bit slow. So I don't know if you can adjust the timing, the way you adjust the timing of
oh yeah. So
this to make it like transition faster. That makes any sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let me look for so this one did like the what's it called, the width and height. And remember when I told you the transition, like the transition property, I will not lie to you, I myself sometimes gets confused, because let's compare it with what we did here, which is we said, oh, it should transition the background within 0.3 seconds. That it should be quick, right? And it should ease. It should ease in. Over here, they did transition the width in 2 seconds, comma, and the height in 4 seconds. So we could legit change this to 0.3 also to make it like really, really quick, and also 0.3. And when we run, it's just going to make it quick.
Okay.
So there is the second sign.
I like it. Yeah.
So that's pretty much how you do transition.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
I don't know if we can do color. I'm curious. I want to see if we can do color.
If you can change the color?
Oh yeah, we can do the color. I was thinking more of text color.
Then just try color.
I'll just do this and then do color to be white, and then I can, because it's not all properties you can transition, that I know. So I can say I want it to be really slow, so let's do 1.3 seconds.
You didn't change it?
I didn't hit run. Oh, it works.
Oh yeah.
So you can transition color. So we can look for CSS. Oh my god, CSS properties transition. So when we go to Mozilla MDN, it tells us the transition. Okay, yeah, the transition property says the transition effect for a CSS property. So for example, margin right. This, it transitions the margin. Right? So it's not reducing the size, it's just increasing the margin on the right. Okay. Then there is the margin right and the color. So it's doing, then there is everything and it's going to do everything. They didn't show us all of this thing. But what I'm looking for is I want to know exactly all the elements CSS transition works on, all the properties it works on. With some Googling, I can find it. I want to show you how to Google as a software engineer. I'll just
CSS. Step on, drag the page. Go ahead.
CSS property transition. And I'll just open a bunch of resources. Specifying which properties to transition. Notice that background, blah, blah, blah. Which properties? Oh yeah, it says over here, it says see the full spec. Spec meaning specification for the full list of which properties are animatable. So when I click on it, it takes me to the W3 org, which is the Web3, the guys that determine like, oh, this is the features we should implement in the browsers, and all browsers will try to obey that. And I can look for, I can decide to read all this, but I ain't gonna lie to you, right? I ain't gonna lie to you, bruh. Anytime I see W3 org, I just close it. Oh,
that's a whole research paper.
Yeah, but we see Stack Overflow, and one of the results is list of CSS properties that can be transitioned. I'm gonna open it in new tab, and this is like I'm looking for all at CSS property that can be transitioned. Does anyone have a comprehensive list?
They will still link you back to W3 schools, I
promise. If I see this, but when I see the / CSS transition / animatable properties, I'm like, okay, let's go to animatable properties. Bruh, he did not show it though. I'm just gonna search for animatable properties. Oh wow.
Bro, you're doing a whole research paper.
I am.
And this is how you write your paper when it's due at 11:59, and you have to write a 4-page essay, and you need to check for references.
Oh, animatable properties. We found one of the first reply that had 4 votes. He added this link, MDN. I saw MDN. I'm like, yeah, show me MDN, man, because that's one of the best docs for. And then it's like all of this. So border, padding, opacity, some of the things we've not talked about. Every one of them can be transitioned.
So wait, let me ask you now.
Yeah.
All this shit showing on the screen, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you know each and every one, or
no.
like
No, I don't think there is a software developer that knows each and every one of them. Like I know,
you can guess based off like your previous will I say use case.
Exactly.
It could be like, oh yeah,
use cases,
background color.
And sometimes I even just watch
color matching.
Yeah, you watch videos and you're like, you know, you see videos on YouTube where they're writing like some people do like crazy like designs and 3D and stuff, and you're like, oh, let me see what they wrote, and then this is how it works, because you already have the basic foundation of how everything at the end of the day comes down to these two files, and the third one we'll be going to is JavaScript.
I
That should be
cannot
fun.
wait. Okay. It's not bad so far. I thought that was going to be terrifying, but I actually like it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So far you're enjoying it.
Yeah, honestly.
What you can just be doing is just be
What
watching.
we can do is I try to make this the dark mode version.
Exactly. You can challenge yourself to make a dark mode version.
Yeah.
That should be fun.
But I don't even know what yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. That shouldn't be a problem. I'm pretty sure there's probably a Chrome extension that you can use to check color of a particular website, no?
Oh yeah, I just closed the browser. There is an extension called, I forgot, Color Picker or something like that. I've forgotten what the Colorzilla. So COLORZILLA.
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And when you add it, how it works, simple. You click on the extension, and if I were to go to Twitch, for example, and I click on it, the moment I click on the extension, it changes my mouse to, a hover kind of thing, and anything I hover on top, it detects what the color is, and the moment I click, it copies the color, profile to my clipboard. So you can just do it and then click, and then when I come here and paste, oh no, I don't think it worked for Twitch. Oh, copied. Now it's copied. So yeah, that's the color on Twitch. That's Twitch's color. Yeah, this color.
Nice, yes.
Any further questions, Maji?
Nah, not right now.
Well, today was a lot more better than last week, Tuesday. We're dead. We're dead.
Honestly.
But yeah.
Like that was when the illness was starting to hit. So I was like,
yeah, same here.
Really out of it.
But anyways, this has been fun, people.
Okay, thanks for tuning in once again, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for tuning in.
Your boy Ralph, a good guy.
And if you want to catch the video at the end, it's going to be up on Twitch for 2 weeks. I think that's how long Twitch keeps the video. And the previous series is all going to be up on YouTube at Smartish Endeavors, because we're all about taking Smartish Endeavors.
Nice one.
That's how I named it. That's legit how I named the channel.
It's actually a nice name, Smartish.
Yeah. But yeah.
But you can find a way to add the way you had the Twitter and the Instagram.
Oh yeah, I'm going to add that.
Yeah, add it there as well, just in case people
need it.
Yeah.
Correct.
So once again, thanks for tuning in.
See ya.
I hope you guys were able to gain as much knowledge as I did, or at least close to as much knowledge as I did, because I'm very smart, and I don't know if most of you are smart as I am.
Oh my gosh. They'll come and cancel you.
No, I just said I don't know. I never said you were not.
They'll come and cancel you.
Thanks for tuning in. Catch you guys again on
Thursday, 6 p.m. CST.
Shall Winnipeg time, for those of you who are like me, I find it should be GMT and CST. 6 p.m. on. Check the time in Winnipeg.
Whoa. Anyways, It's been lovely. Peace.
Safe.
Safe.